Bill Reeser was born and raised in the rough streets of Harlem, New York in the 1960s. His dad left when he was 1 year old. When he was 12, he became a victim of violence.
I walked into the hallway, and a grown-up guy met me there at knife point. And this was a guy that did some work, for the mob, and he pinned me in a corner at knife point, and I was helpless, and he sexually attacked me. And I had to live with that, and there's nothing I could do. I couldn't tell anyone about it for the fear of what may happen to me or my family.
Bill began abusing drugs and alcohol.
And I resorted to that to manage the pain that I had in my life, the pain from the abuse, the pain from getting picked on, the pain from not having a father. That's how I managed the pain in my life.
In his teens, Bill realized he had his ticket out of Harlem. He could play basketball.
I had a 44-inch vertical leap, which means I could dunk a basketball any way you wanted. And that was my ticket. I was going to definitely play in the NBA. Everybody knew that I was destined for the NBA. And that was going to be my claim to fame, and nothing was going to get in my way.
After high school, he played basketball at Eastern Kentucky University. But his drug use and attitude problems got in the way.
I didn't like my head coach. He didn't like me. And I was out partying all the time. My goal was to get, as high or drunk every night and to come home and sleep with a new girl every night. And nothing else and nobody else was as important as I was.
Injuries on and off the court affected his ability to play. Before long, his dream of reaching the NBA faded.
Just killed me. My basketball hopes and career in a matter of 2 years at Eastern Kentucky University just sunk very, very fast.
He married Carolyn, a girl he met at college. They moved to New York and started a family. He didn't pick up a basketball for 3 years.
That's how much it just decimated to know that my career was over. But I picked up a ball, and 2 weeks after I picked up that basketball, I'm playing in all the pro tournaments in New York City again. And I'm starting to make a comeback, and I'm actually playing pretty good. And I started developing that reputation again. Bill Reeser is back.
But once again, injuries took their toll.
I hurt my back and I hurt my shoulder, and my doctors told me I could never play basketball ever again. And that just destroyed me. Because now, for the first time, not in college, but now, I realized that my basketball career was over. And I became miserable. And I just resorted to more drinking, more drugging, started hanging around one female, and that led to an affair, which led to affairs with other women. And my whole life is now spinning out of control.
They moved back to Kentucky. Carolyn started going to church and rededicated her life to Christ. Bill continued his double life.
Moving to Kentucky only meant new people to get drunk with, new people to get high with, and new ladies to have affairs with.
One night, Carolyn stopped by Bill's office and overheard him on a phone call.
I went up to his office to surprise him, and that's when I walked into a conversation that I knew was an intimate conversation over the phone. It was crushing. I remember just sinking to the floor, thinking, what is going on? At that moment, everything that I thought our marriage was revealed to me, and that it was a sham.
When she confronted me about it, I told her about everything else. I told her about the things she didn't know. And I just needed to get it out. For 3 weeks, we couldn't have a coherent conversation. My marriage was over. Divorce was the only option, and it was the lowest point in my life.
Before they met to discuss the terms of their divorce, Carolyn prayed for God to fill her with peace.
The Holy Spirit just overtook me and took that burden away from me. I can't explain it other than I know that it was God.
When she started to speak, I knew that it was God speaking to me. She said, Bill, God would never give up on you, and I'm not going to give up on you. She said, God can forgive you for anything that you've ever done. And then she said this, and so can I. I don't know if I could ever forget the things that you've done, but I'm willing to give it a try if you're willing to give your life to Jesus Christ. Now, at that moment, I knew that that was God calling me home. I realized for the first time in my life that God loved me despite me, and all he wanted was a personal relationship with me. And I made a decision that night to give my life to Jesus Christ. And from that night moving forward, God has changed everything.
Bill and Carolyn surrounded themselves with other Christians and devoted themselves to prayer.
The biggest gift is that God redeemed us. He gave us an opportunity, and that Bill said yes to God. And in doing so, he said yes to us.
As we devoted ourselves to prayer every day, God drew us closer to Him and then closer to one another. That's made a huge difference in our lives.
God freed Bill from his past, even prompting Bill to forgive the man who attacked him so many years ago.
When I chose to do what God wanted me to do, God took care of my emotion, God took care of my feelings, and God took care of my circumstances. And God healed all of that. And I was set free that night. And that was one of the best nights that I've ever had. God made me into a new person. He forgave me. He gave Himself for me. He lives in me. He changed the way I thought. He's changing the way I think today. He's transforming me by the renewing of my mind. And He's still doing that. He's still chiseling away. And He's changing me into who He is, day by day, moment by moment. And that's the greatest miracle of all.